Okay, and next question is kind of along those lines. So let's say that, you have a married couple and then they're getting a divorce and one of the spouses has a problem with alcoholism or maybe other substance abuse.
Right.
So let's say that maybe perhaps they're in denial about that and they're also
Hold on 1 second. I don't know what's going on out there. Oh, here, let me shut this. Alan's working with a saw. Hang on 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's say we have a couple and one of the parties is dealing with maybe alcohol abuse or some other type of substance abuse, and they're in denial about it. And the other party wants this to be considered in a custody battle, but let's say there hasn't been any objective evidence like a DUI or some other evidence that there's actually alcohol abuse or something like that. How would that work out typically in a family court situation where maybe one spouse thinks the other spouse is alcoholic and then maybe the other spouse is saying, well, I'm just a social drinker, this shouldn't impact the custody battle?
Well, you have to look at there's a use of substances, which is people use alcohol, they use non-prescription drugs, they even use marijuana, and they use these things. And if it's a question of use versus abuse. If you're using the substance, but it's not affecting your life, where it's affecting your relationships or your employment or things like that, and you're functioning well, then it's going to be more difficult to make that an issue or a reason as to why the other spouse should not have the children half the time.
Would the court carry out if it was alleged by one of the parties, would the court typically try to carry out into an investigation somehow into whether someone was an alcoholic, or what would
the court can order several types of investigations or evaluations. Sometimes they'll order a child custody investigation. That's typically performed by the county where the case is filed. It's performed by the Department of Mediation and Investigative Services, or it can be performed by the Family Court Services, or they at times will also go out and do what is called a child custody evaluation, a evidence code 730 evaluation, where the parties hire a professional who's on one of a number of professionals on a panel. They call him a professional, him or her a professional custody evaluator, and this person will then evaluate what the family situation is. They'll talk to everybody. They'll do some psychological testing, and when I say they'll talk to everybody, they'll talk to the spouses, they'll talk to the kids, they'll talk to collateral people around the family, such as school teachers, neighbors, friends, relatives, and they'll try and make a decision. They'll try and analyze what's the best custodial arrangement for these children. What's the best? And then this person is the judge's expert, who then typically writes a written report, and the judge this is called a 730 child custody evaluation. And then the court will read that report, and it's basically expert testimony as to what is the best custodial arrangement for the kids.